Attachment refers to the bond that forms between newborns and their primary caregivers. The strength and health of this bond depends on the infant's temperament, their characteristic patterns of emotional reactivity, and the parenting style of their caregivers. These effects are bidirectional. It is easier for a caregiver to bond with a calm infant than an upset one, and it's easier for an infant to bond with a nurturing caregiver than a negligent one. The quality of the infant-caregiver bond is important because it strongly influences an individual's social relationships throughout the lifespan. The quality of attachment is studied using a paradigm called the strange situation, where infants and caregivers are separated, and the quality of their reunion is assessed upon the caregiver's return. The task also examines stranger anxiety, the tendency for infants to feel uncomfortable or frightened when approached by someone they don't know, and separation anxiety, the developmentally normal fear of being away from a trusted caregiver. 4 attachment styles have been recorded over decades of research using these techniques. Infants with a secure attachment style may or may not be distressed when the caregiver leaves, but they will respond positively when the caregiver returns. Infants who show an insecure avoidant attachment style do not exhibit distress when the caregiver leaves and will not acknowledge the caregiver when he or she returns. Those with an insecure ambivalent attachment style show distress when the caregiver leaves, but will not be calmed by her presence upon her return. Infants with a disorganized, disoriented attachment style show no consistent response pattern to their caregiver's departure or return. Social development is also greatly affected by parenting styles, which are typically divided into 4 types. Authoritative parents set high standards, are nurturing and responsive, and show respect for their children's autonomy. Children of authoritative parents are usually capable, self-assured, and popular in their social life. Authoritarian parents, not to be confused with authoritative parents, demand obedience to parental authority. These children tend to be unhappy, have low self-esteem, and keep to themselves. Permissive parents do not impose rules and standards, preferring instead to let their kids regulate themselves. Their children tend to be impulsive, disregard rules, and perform poorly in school. Lastly, uninvolved parents make few or no demands on their children, have little interest in their children's lives, and have little emotional involvement with them. Children of uninvolved parents tend to perform poorly in schools, have trouble forming peer relationships, and are more likely to experience depression and engage in risky behaviors. Authoritative parenting leads to social and emotional health. The other styles increase risk for poor outcomes. Other familial factors can impact social development as well. For example, divorce can affect children negatively in the short term, but most research indicates that children do not suffer long-lasting consequences. Familial influence tends to be a primary factor in social development until the adolescent years, when individuals begin to pay more attention to peers and larger groups. While most models of social development focus on childhood, others look at the entire lifespan. Erikson proposed a theory that described psychosocial development as a series of stages in which major challenges must be confronted. For example, infants learn about trust versus mistrust through their caregivers, adolescents develop a sense of identity independent from their families, and adults must learn to manage generativity, concern for people besides self and family, and stagnation, a failure to contribute, as they work to make their mark on the world.